What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to lesson number 58 for A Course in Creativity, inspired by lesson 58 of A Course in Miracles, the workbook. So this is super exciting. This is the Atlas of Yet Unmade Memories. Now, I heard a quote this week while I was reading this book. Heard a quote. I read it, but it talked about lower the bar and raise the floor. And I thought about this in the context of holiness. It just blew me away to meditate on this and to really let this in, right? So because that's what holiness is, what these workbook lessons kind of summarize and review. So I thought about lower the bar and raise the floor, because we think about smashing through ceilings and how good it feels and how amazing it is, and right? Does it though, right? Because it's not something, especially when we think about holiness. Holiness is a consistent thing, right? It doesn't change. Your holiness, your worthiness, your deservingness it is independent of anything that you put out into the world. It's independent of anything that you do, even. So when we think about holiness as something that's consistent, I think about things that are replicable, that demonstrate that consistency, right? And, in a weird roundabout way, it came out in this quote, but I thought if we, lower the bar and raise the floor, what are we doing? What we're doing is creating not just a system that can support itself, but we're creating more nurturing. We're nurturing ourselves. We're nurturing things like our holiness, because we're not trying to reach through these kind of one-off breakthrough, smash through ceilings with this aggressive energy. We're building something that's sustainable, something that's replicable, and something that kind of generates the confidence that is inherent. Well, it generates the worth that's inherent within us, and then it allows us access to the confidence, right? It gives us greater access to the confidence that from which we can pretty much do anything that we set our mind to, and that really jazzes us up, right? So when we think about raise the floor and lower the bar, what they talked about in that book was, making it so that you're creating a foundation for yourself that's really solid, right? You're creating a solid foundation, and what better, more solid foundation is there than something like holiness? You're worthy. You're here, and you're worthy. So when we think about, achieving things, or when we think about doing great things in the world, we all want to have a connection to purpose. We all want this sort of sense of ourselves to express in the world. And that can also be connected to belonging. That can also be connected to feeling like you're part of something, but then also part of something bigger than yourself, right? That gives to other people. So when I think about, lower the bar and raise the floor, this is also making sure that you are so good with you that you recognize your holiness more often than not, one. And two, that the floor is high enough to meet you so that you don't have to exert all this effort. Because this is also where ego frames kind of get in, right? Because a lot of the time when you're reaching for something and trying to smash through a ceiling, what you're also doing is allowing the ego to kind of run the show if it goes unchecked and unbalanced with this receptivity energy, if it goes unbalanced with this receptivity of the floor raising to meet you, right? Because how much energy do you spend smashing through ceilings, right? How much energy do you spend doing that when what we need, and not just, this is a personal thing, this is personal systems and the way we use them, but this is also collective, like outward facing in terms of systems in the world. We need to raise the floor and lower the bar so that we're not spending so much energy breaking through, and the breakthrough becomes the norm, right? The breakthrough becomes the norm. So that energy is almost, it's infused. I see it as being infused into this holiness. And that's how our holiness does bless the world. When we recognize that and we see it in ourselves and other people, we start to act in a way that creates this sort of, it's almost like a cyclical, like it's a feedback loop that's based in reciprocity, but that also makes it so that we have enough energy for the journey, as opposed to that first breakthrough and then we're kind of struggling to find more energy after that. It's really about understanding that you're here, and that alone blesses the world. That's where you start. That's your starting point, right? And if we think about, smashing through ceilings and just all of this achievement-oriented stuff, Dean Spade wrote about mutual aid. The Care Collective has great books about this too, but, where does care fit in if we're constantly reaching for that breakthrough? Because, in a way too, the breakthrough comes from believing that there's always an outside, there's always a somewhere else where holiness or our good is happening, as opposed to within us right now. So at times we can get into, and this isn't an absolute, this isn't the definitive answer, this is one among many, but this is to say that we can get caught in a place where we feel like we have to prove something by smashing through, when we are, so much better suited to raise the floor. Raising the floor means that not only can I succeed, not only can I do well, not only can I live my best and break through in my own way, but that means that by raising the floor, so many other people get to do the same thing as well. And that's about changing systems. That's about shifting systems and making them amenable so that they uphold a value beyond well-being. They uphold there's a specificity, and a lot of it illuminates that holiness. Raising the floor also requires an investment in long-term effort and stability rather than, and it's incremental at times, right? But that's where you rely more on what's within you. So you being holy and you being worthy and deserving and all of the great things, that's what you require more. And that's what you rely on more than the short-term blast through and the externals reflecting some kind of worth, the externals reflecting something positive, the externals reflecting any kind of value that you have inherently, but that you seek outside of you because there's an uncertainty. That is your lesson for today, A Course in Creativity, just a short review, little snippet, the Atlas of Yet Unmade Memories. So if this resonated, please give it a like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel if you're not already, but if you are joining me from my subscriber base, thank you so much for being here. I really and truly appreciate you, so thank you for that. But if this is where we part, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, that it finds you very, very well, my friends. Take care.